Good morning everyone, I'm Jazzy. I want to present to you a design of a creeper farm. There are many videos about this subject, but what's wrong with them? These farms are usually either heavy, time-consuming, not spider-proof, or unstable. I will present here a farm that is easy to build. It is based on a classical mob spawning farm. Its size is adjustable, it is spider-proof, and it is very stable in terms of redstone. This farm is the kind of one that you can build in your survival world, a very good source for gunpowder when you get your elytra and need firework rockets, or if you want to make some TNT or get some experience. So, let's start. There are generally two main families of creeper farms. There are the ones based on the fact that creepers avoid cats. Such mechanics is used to push creepers out of some edges using their fear of cats. But this isn't the kind of farm I am going to present. The problem with this one is that it is based on entities, and I try to avoid farms based on entities. And also it is more difficult to handle cats, especially at the beginning of a world. The farm that is presented here is based on water flow mechanics. It is a more classical one. It consists of several platforms which light is controlled and where creepers can spawn. These creepers are conducted using water to a collecting area, and from this collecting area you can do with them whatever you want. There are four main parts about this farm. As we said, the platforms, the collecting area, there is also the roof, and also a clock that controls the water flows. For the collecting area, it depends on what you want to do with your creepers. XP farm, gathering them in some chamber, use a channeling trident on them in order to have charged creepers. It is really up to you. So, I will not get into the details of the collecting area. Just make sure that the creepers that fall from the platforms get into your collecting area. For my farm, my collecting area will bring the creepers into a hole, where they can take fall damage. As for the roof, try to cover your farm so that the level of light in your platforms is less than 7, so that your farm can work even during the day. I won't get into the details here either, because it depends on the way you want to control light. You can for example choose to make a small roof and to wall your farm. It is up to you, and depends on the way you want to decorate your farm. The most important part on which we want to focus are spawning platforms. You cannot do much generally with your designs if you want to use the water flow. We will see how to build them, how to prevent them from spawning zombies and skeletons, and most importantly, spiders, and also how to link them to the clock and how to stabilize the redstone. As for the clock, a simple hopper clock should be enough. We will talk about it a little, but you are free to use any type of clock. You are also free to put it on the top or on the bottom of your farm. For this example, it will be set on the roof, and the signal from the clock will be transported downwards. This is important to know because it will decide the orientation of your observer blocks. Well, let's talk about the platforms. The number of the platforms depends on the size you want to give to your farm. The more platforms you build, the more performant is your farm. The shape of a platform is decided by the shape that water takes when it flows. They will have a shape of a diamond centered on a block of water or on the dispenser that will deliver this water. In order to prevent mobs from spawning, we will use a property of the creepers. Unlike most common mobs, creepers are 1.7 blocks high. Zombies, skeletons, witches are 2 blocks high. So, in order to prevent these mobs from spawning, the gap between two platforms should be less than 2 blocks. This can be possible if we use trapdoors. The space between two platforms should be of 2 blocks, and we place trapdoors all over the roof of a platform. A closed trapdoor is 0.2 block high, which makes the height inside the platform 1.8 blocks, and this space is just enough for the spawn of a creeper, and it prevents the spawning of zombies, skeletons and witches. This technique is very known, but it doesn't make the platform spider-proof. So, How to handle spiders and baby zombies. Spiders are very bad for this farm because they climb walls and generally don't fit through the holes. If a spider spawns, it stays there and blocks the mob cap. It is absolutely necessary to get rid of them. They are worse than baby zombies. Spiders, in order to spawn, need a space of 3 by 3 by 2 blocks. In order to avoid them spawning, we shouldn't allow on the platform any space of 3 by 3. So, we should put some obstacles on the platform. But these obstacles should not prevent water from flowing. In the cat variants of the farm, we generally use carpets. But here, as obstacles, we can use trapdoors. We can use any block that doesn't allow spawning and is not removable by water. But not fences, because their hitbox is small and creepers may use them to stop flowing. So, here is a proposed disposition of these obstacles that doesn't stop water flowing and also makes the farm spider-proof. Now, what about baby zombies? Well, the conditions to spawn a baby zombie are the same used to spawn normal zombies. So, if normal zombies cannot spawn, so are baby zombies. As you notice, the disposition of obstacles is symmetrical in our case, but symmetrical dispositions are not always the most optimal. Here is a trick that you can do in order to verify if your platform is spider-proof. You can sketch your platform and use a 3 by 3 box that you place on all the spawning blocks of your platform. Of course, you only need to place the center block of the box. If all the sides of this box do not cover any of the obstacles, then your platform is not spider-proof. In my case, it was simpler to make this verification because my platforms are symmetrical. They have 4 axes of symmetry: vertical, horizontal, and diagonals. So I only needed to check 1/8 of the platform. And be careful, besides being spider-proof, your platform should also allow water flowing. There shouldn't be any obstacle to block water. All you will have some creepers that stay on the platform when they spawn. So check this before starting your construction, or you can use the disposition I proposed. Now that we know how to build the platforms, we will see how to control water. As you know, mobs cannot spawn in water, even if it isn't water source blocks. So, water should be removed for creepers to spawn. And for pouring and removing water, we use dispensers. And the time that a dispenser takes to spit or remove water is controlled by a clock that I put on the roof of the farm. We will talk about the clock later. But now, how to transport the signal from the clock to all the platforms in order to control the dispensers. To do so, we use the observer block. So, you need to build a column where you alternate observers and dispensers. If the signal of the clock comes from top to bottom, as in my case, the observer is capable to detect if water above is dispensed or removed. After each of these 2 actions, the observer sends a signal to the dispenser below, making it dispense or remove the water below it. And this is how a state of a given platform controls the states of the platform below it. And the signal comes all the way from the clock to the bottom platform. Now, let's talk about the stability of the platform. There is a problem with the observer block when it detects water. Here is an experience that we made in order to see how it works. We will use a redstone lamp in order to see when observers send signals. We will put a redstone lamp next to the dispenser in order to visualize when the observer sends a signal. We can notice that when we put water, the observer sends 1 redstone pulse. But when this water is removed, the observer sends several pulses. This is explained by the fact that when water disappears, it goes from different levels. If you see, when I take a water source, the block of water becomes smaller and smaller until it disappears, and it takes some time. And the observer detects all these changes of levels. And this makes the farm unstable, because with this behavior, we cannot control how signal is transmitted from the clock to the lower platforms. But the solution is simple. We only need to make sure that water is dispensed inside a block that can be waterlogged. This block should allow water flowing in all directions. so we can't use stairs. But it is possible to use other blocks such as fences, trapdoors, lanterns. No, not lanterns. Platforms should not be lit up. I used fences in my case. They work fine. If we repeat the test, we see that when we put water and when we remove it, the observer sends only one pulse. Taking water from a waterlogged block goes only from one state. There is no change in water levels. And this is a huge change for the stability of the farm. I think this is the main problem that made people choose the cat variant of the farm. Now, in order to control dispensers, as we said, we need a clock. Water should flow inside the platform just enough time to flush all the creepers. I didn't calculate the exact time that takes to flush all the creepers, but I think around 10 seconds is enough. Anyways, the clock in my case is connected to the upper observer, and I use the very known hopper clock. I won't get much into the details, you can see some tutorials for this. But only to understand the principle, this clock is based on the fact that hoppers can send items. And if a hopper is receiving a redstone current, it is blocked. It cannot send items, but it can receive them. So in this clock, we use a redstone block to block one of the two hoppers, and the other hopper starts sending its items to the blocked hopper. When the other hopper is empty, the redstone block is moved next to it using a system of sticky pistons. Comparators are used to detect if a hopper is empty, and the pistons are actioned when one of the comparators is switched off. The movement of the redstone block is the output we need to detect. This is what should trigger the upper observer. The duration between two ticks of this clock can be managed with the amount of items we put inside the hoppers. It is possible to calculate the exact time, knowing how long it takes a hopper to send an item. If you don't seek a very controlled performance, put around 32 to 40 items, it should be enough. There are some advices that I can give in order to enhance the performance of the platforms. As you may know, there is a hostile mob cap. It limits the number of hostile mobs in a world. So, in order for your farm to be performant, try to get rid quickly of the creepers. Make a system that kills them very quickly. In my case, I kill them with fall damage. If you want to kill them directly in the collecting area, do it. I even saw some tutorials where the creepers are directly sent to the nether in order to empty the mob cap. And also, for a better performance, make sure that your creepers are continuously spawning. If you flood all your platforms, the creepers will spawn only half of the time. The other half they are being flushed. It's better to flood half of your platforms and leave the other half as a spawning area. You can decide which of your dispensers will dispense water and which of them will remove it. Try to alternate between the flooded and the dry platforms. A piece of advice: manage your dispensers from top to bottom, because the upper dispensers influence the lower ones, so be careful of this. And if you put your clock at the bottom, then manage your dispensers from the bottom to the top. Make sure also that mobs spawn only in your farm. One way to do it is to build your farm high in the sky. You can even try a deep ocean biome for this. This way it is far from caves. But the most important is not the position of the farm, but the position of the player. In order to use your farm, you may want to build a waiting area for you. And as you know, mobs will spawn relative to the position of the player. They start spawning 24 blocks away from the player, but don't spawn very far. And there is a difference between Java Edition and Bedrock Edition on this point. In Bedrock Edition, they spawn between 24 blocks and 54 blocks. And for the Java Edition, they spawn between 24 blocks and 128. So, depending on your edition, make sure that the farm is inside this range. And also, make sure that this range does not include other spawning areas. For my case, I built the farm on a deep ocean biome. I went high into the sky, and I will build my waiting area at least 128 blocks far from the bottom of the ocean. If you don't want your farm to be very high, you can also try to lit up the caves Or make your farm next to a mushroom biome. Mushroom biomes do not spawn hostile mobs. You can be very creative with this. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I tried to give the guidelines for a very good creeper farm. This kind of farm is classical, but usually we have some problems with spider-proofing it and with its stability. All these problems are solved now. You have a farm that produces only creepers, it is very efficient and most importantly, very simple. It is very adapted to Minecraft survival and very advised for single-player worlds. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and I will answer all your questions in the comments. It has been Jazzy. Thank you everyone and see you later. Bye!